What is up, guys? It is your girl Mindy, the Karmic DF from TikTok, back to you again with another video on how we are basically headed towards we're already in it. Basically, seasonal affective disorder is a pretty big deal, at least where I live. We have the sun setting super early, and it's causing a lot of us to kind of get out of balance, out of whack with where we need to be. So this is just going to be a quick video on tips and tricks for you to, weather the storm as we are going through these colder times, these times when we're kind of stuck inside of our homes and it's kind of easy to fall back into old habits. So basically this video is just going to go over some real quick tips on how to stay, in a positive place and continue to be self-sufficient and doing the best we can in a time when it's really hard to see the light, because literally there's not much sunlight going on. So if you've been having trouble keeping up with day-to-day life, if you've been a little bit exhausted, if you've been a little more emotional, feel a little bit disconnected from the world, then this video is for you. So I hope you like this video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification button to get more videos as I go on. And as always, if you have more questions on other topics you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. But as always, let's get into it. So when it comes to seasonal affective disorder, or just in general when our sun is setting at least over here around 5 o'clock, it's really hard to kind of stay motivated. And it's kind of ironic that we live in a world where the new year comes in January when it's so dark out, and it's really hard for us to actually change our life around because it's cold out. And we're meant to, back when we used to live off the land, we're meant to be kind of calm down a little bit, kind of focusing on going within and not really focused on the hustle and bustle of life. And so it's kind of hard to keep up, especially if you're an empathic person, and it's really easy to fall backwards. And I want you to start by remembering that how we learn is more in like a spiral staircase. My spirit guides have always shown me that in terms of progression. So a lot of times when we think we're falling back, in reality, what we're meant to be doing is doing the inner work. Instead of going out and doing things and being productive, we're supposed to be focusing on the stuff that's kind of triggering us, the stuff that's holding us back in life, so that we can branch out, try to understand where it's coming from a higher perspective, and transmute that energy so that we don't become our worst critics, so that we don't beat ourselves up for not being productive enough. And it's very common to feel, a little bit low, especially with the holidays, especially with the lack of sunlight, because remember, vitamin D gives us our energy. Being outside helps us stay grounded, and it helps us, no pun intended with this rhyme, but well-rounded at the same time. And so it's kind of hard to get adjusted to feeling good when we're kind of stuck inside of our houses, and when we're trying to, keep up with what we've been doing in the summertime, but we don't exactly have the same type of drive because we're not getting the same amount of vitamin D. We're not being as social because we are naturally social creatures, but when it's cold out, we don't really feel like doing much. And so that's when we can really get in our head. And that's when we can really start to beat ourselves up, think that we're doing something wrong, and then, give up on our dreams and give up on our passions and give up on ourselves. But this is the time when we have to find a healthy balance, when we have to stay true to what will keep us being on the right road to self-discovery and keeping on track with the path that is meant for us. It is a hard time to keep balanced and to keep grounded, but if you maintain a practice of taking care of yourself every day and having routines that you stick by and you don't shy away from, then it's a little bit easier to stay on track. So basically, remember that as we are locked inside, kind of similar to the lockdown, we still have to take care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. So remember that exercise is incredibly important. So if, you can get a gym membership, or, you can buy a used treadmill like I personally did online. You could find those as well. You could do yoga, and maybe you like to dance, you know, let your inner child play. Find videos on YouTube of people that teach you how to do dance routines, anything to keep the body moving. Because the more that we stay still, we stay stagnant, is the more that we start to kind of lose our energy, and then we kind of start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, with being not motivated to do stuff. And then we get into our heads and we feel like we're a failure, and then we repeat the cycle over and over again. What we need to do is remember that even though it's hard right now in these times, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to prioritize our mental health and our physical health and our spiritual health, because they are all connected. So, you know, when the sun is going down earlier in the day, make it a habit to start getting up earlier. And I know that that sucks because, hey, night owl over here, I get it. But when you are up more with the sun, you get that vitamin D. You keep on with that motivation. And when you can put in exercise and when you can stay on top of things, you have to realize that we are part of Mother Nature, and it's really hard when we are in our homes to stay motivated, because when we're home, it's kind of where our brain thinks it's time to relax, and so we kind of get into our own way, and then we think that we're failing in life, but in reality, we just need to be a little bit stricter with our own routines and stricter with ourselves. So it's really important during this time to constantly practice some sort of self-care. I'm talking guided meditations. You could play affirmations at night to help boost your well-being. You can find nighttime affirmations that last like 8-9 hours long, that talk about self-esteem, that talk about working on anxiety, that talk about building abundance. Because remember, everything that we are putting into our body has an effect, and that includes what you watch, what you listen to. So if you make it a priority to exercise, to listen to high vibrational music, to watch high vibrational television, and to also, this is a big one, don't overdo it on social media. Social media is truly an addiction, and I know that this is coming from somebody who works for social media, but there has to be balance, right? We can't escape our lives and just go and watch videos and constantly see what our friends are up to, because then you're doomed to compare yourself to what other people are doing, and then you're going to beat yourself up, and then the process repeats. So what we need to do is remember how important this point in our life is right now, to take care of ourselves, again, mind, body, and spirit. What can we do to exercise and remove any stagnant, low vibrational energy in our body every day? Even if it's just yoga. Yoga is super helpful. I mean, there are tons of people out there that are incredibly strong, that don't run every day. They just do yoga, and they're freaking jacked, right? Because they know that energy, that, oh, I'm hearing now, energy goes where intention goes. So if you have the intention to build on yourself, to make yourself feel healthier, to consistently keep eating well, to consistently keep pouring into yourself, then you are going to survive the harder days in the wintertime. It is really hard, and you're not alone in that. But we have to remember that now more than ever, we have to prioritize our well-being. So what can we do? It's as simple as what I said before. You have to have some sort of exercise routine, because trapped energy will hold you back. Trapped energy will hold you down. You won't know where it's coming from. You'll feel exhausted. It's because we're not moving, you know. In the summertime, in the springtime, we have more things to do. But in the wintertime, we feel like we're, you know, exhausted because we're not getting the vitamin D that's so essential to our well-being. So we have to have an exercise routine. We also have to have a really good meditation practice, so that we are constantly in a good state of mind. Guided meditations for grounding, for protection. You could do a grounding meditation that's also about building your self-esteem. Gratitude meditations are extremely useful in a time like this, as well as remembering that what you put into your body does in fact matter. A lot of times when we're locked indoors, we eat a lot of junk, right? And then we're wondering why we feel so low. Same idea. Your body responds to what you're giving it. And that includes exercise, food, the stuff that you're consuming. A lot of social media, not good for you. You got to kind of take a break and pull your energy back, right? We don't need to know what our friends are doing 24/7 on Facebook. It's not necessary. What we have to be doing is focusing on our mental health and our mental well-being. So what do we do with all this? Keep this video short and sweet. Exercise more. We have to meditate. We have to start practicing gratitude so that we remember the good things that have happened. And if you're struggling with things, journaling is so important. And if you don't like hand, pen, and paper, I get it. I think way too fast. I'm a Gemini moon. Get a diary app. Just spill that stuff out on there. It doesn't need to be put on Facebook. You know, people don't need to know your business. When you're struggling, you don't want people judging you, right? Because then that makes it really hard to kind of get back into where you need to be. So we have to practice knowing our worth and pouring into ourselves at this point in time, because it's essential in order to get through the darker hours while we're moving into spring, which is new beginnings. That's where the new beginnings really come into. That's when the ball should drop, is during April, when we're finally coming into a place of building back up from all of the dark days that we've had. So remember that you're not alone in this. Remember that a lot of people struggle during this time. And if we are focusing more on ourselves and our needs and prioritizing our health and focusing on things that could keep us happy, you know, listening to high vibrational music, not sad stuff, watching rom-coms instead of murder investigation, you know what I mean? Everything that you consume affects your mental health. And when you begin to realize that, you can stop feeling like you're low and not understanding why. It really is that simple. Of what we put into our bodies really matters. And during the wintertime, it's really easy to feel, you know, kind of down and not really motivated to do other stuff. And so we have to remember that consistency, routine, pouring out your emotions when you need to, but in a safe space so that other people don't have their unnecessary opinions in your mind. You don't need that. You just need to pour into yourself. How would you treat your best friend if your best friend was struggling? You would tell them to pour into themselves, right? You would tell them that they deserve more, that it's going to be okay. And you would tell them, you know, what they need to do in order to get by. But we usually kind of sleep on ourselves because, as, you know, an empath, a spiritual person, a light worker, we often find our value in helping other people, and we kind of neglect ourselves, right? And so we have to get into a constant routine during this time in order to feel better and in order to get to a place where we don't feel like we're depressed, we're sad, we're lonely. This is a perfect time to get in touch with yourself, with your nature, what you need in order to feel good inside. If that is, you know, relaxing on your couch, watching rom-coms, you know, anything to lift your spirits, that really matters. And again, with the food that you're consuming, you know, if you're eating a lot of junk, you're going to feel weighed down and you're not going to really understand why. It's super important to take care of those things as we are nearing closer to winter and closer to darker days. It's really exhausting right now, and a lot of people are struggling, and then they beat themselves up. Don't beat yourself up. Right now, we're just trying to get used to a world that wants us to be super productive when right now is not the time for it. Right now is more so a time for going within. It's a time for seeing what our body needs, coming back home to self, and asking ourselves, what is it that will make us feel better? And stop with the inner critic, blaming yourself. Why am I not doing enough? Of course you're not doing a lot. It's wintertime. Everybody's not doing a lot right now. We're not really supposed to. We just live in a society where, you know, the hustle and bustle is all it's about. But remember that there is nothing wrong with you. We just need to create a strong, healthy routine so that we can manage while we're going through not having enough sunlight to feed ourselves and to feed our body, not being able to go outside to ground ourselves. Then we need to start doing grounding meditations or taking salt baths. There are plenty of options that will help you feel better while you're indoors right now. But remember that there are a lot of things that we use as escapism, as coping mechanisms, that are not going to help us at all. Scrolling through Facebook for 5 hours is not going to help you. You're going to pick up the energy of other people that are also going through it, and then you're going to wonder why you're feeling a little crummy. Well, it's really as simple as what you absorb is who you become, right? And so 5:55 as I'm saying that. And so we need to change what we're doing, and we need to remember that this too shall pass, but it's up to us to make that change. So if you are struggling right now, and if it has been a tough time for you, I want you to remember that you are not alone, and that you have to find something that's going to feed your inner child, and you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Exercise in any form of capacity, going to bed at a reasonable hour so that you can get more sunlight, meditation, constant. For me personally, I do gratitude at night, everything that I'm thankful for that has happened during that day. And it really does lift your spirits, because again, everything that you consume is who you become. And if you can start to consume better things, better foods, better habits, then you will see a difference in how you're feeling during a time like this. So I hope this video finds you. If you're struggling right now, a lot of people are struggling. You're not alone. We just simply need to prioritize ourselves even more so now. We tend to feel lonely during these times. We tend to feel like we're not doing enough, when in reality, we just live in a world that hasn't caught up to what we should be doing. So focus on yourself, focus on your needs. You come first. Remember to fill your cup up before you're trying to fill those of others, and watch how with consistent time, it takes 21 days to make something a habit. So it's going to be hard at first, but after the first week, you're going to start to feel a difference. And if you keep going, you will see that difference in yourself. So don't give up. Don't think that you're broken. Don't think that, you might have seasonal affective disorder, which is totally normal, but you can combat that by doing healthy things for you, by doing things that feed your soul, trying to get out of the house as much as you can. Remember that this is something that we all go through, and if you prioritize yourself, then you will get out of this sooner, because you will find a new habit, a new routine that will better fill up that void inside of you as we're going through this time. So I hope this helped. I know it was kind of like basic, but I just see a lot of people struggling, especially where I live. I live in New England, so, it gets cold and dark fast. So just remember that you come first. Your needs come first. You are not broken. You're simply exhausted because there's no sunlight, and we need that sunlight in order to feel energized. So we have to find other ways in order to energize ourselves, which is why baths are important, which is why exercise is important, which is why pouring into yourself first and pulling away from social media that brings you down is so important during this time. So I hope this was helpful. If you need a part 2, if you want me to break down some more stuff, then let me know down in the comments. But I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. But as always, I'm here for you. We are in this together, and you are not alone. We all go through the ebb and flows of life, right? But remember all of the times in the past that you thought it was the end of the world, that you thought that you couldn't get through. And here you are today, and you're still getting through. So remember that. Hold on to that hope. Remember that you've been in dark places and you came back out, so you can do it again. You just have to prioritize yourself first, because you matter. Your health matters in mind, in body, and in spirit. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell to let me know that I'm helping you guys. And again, leave anything in the comments if you want me to cover other topics as well. But you can do this. I believe in you. You can get through these harder days. And I promise you that eventually it's going to get a little bit easier. Just give yourself time, and remember that you come first. Your needs come first. And as long as you prioritize yourself first, you're going to see a difference. But it all starts with you. No more making excuses. No more laying down on the couch and just being like, I don't feel like it. Well, none of us feel like it. But after a few days, that becomes your new routine. That's what your brain becomes used to. And you can get out of that fog that you're in, and you can feel a lot better. So I hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you in next week's video. Bye, guys.